Hello, we are recording now. This is yet another meeting on the series of meetups of the Clojure Visual Tools group. It is this short series of meetups we called workflow demos. So this is Visual Tools meeting number 29. And today we'll have the main topic of FlowStorm, the debugger, and actually much more than the debugger. And we have Juan, the author of FlowStorm, who will talk about it. And later I will talk, I'm Daniel, I'll talk about Clay, a data analysis tool, and also the way we use it for documentation. And let us begin by Juan. Juan, you're invited to present yourself, say something about who you are, what you care about nowadays, and so on.
Okay, so I'm Juan. I'm from Uruguay, currently living in Montevideo, so in Uruguay, South America. And yeah, I have been programming since the 90s. Yeah, and middle part of 90s maybe. And I started programming in Clojure after like Java, Common Lisp, and a bunch of other languages around 2010, 2011, so almost like 14 years. I think working full time since maybe 2013 in Clojure. And so yeah, I have been working lately on the on dev tooling. I'm really interested in dev tooling. So this writing software for ourselves instead of only for like other companies, other people. And yeah, and well, FlowStorm, it is a visual tool. And since this is a visual tools meeting, and it's about workflows, and there is a FlowStorm. It's very deeply ingrained in my workflows. When I write software or try to understand software, I thought it was interesting to share it. Some of the stuff. Yeah, that's about it, I think. I don't know.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for proposing it and, being able to join today and tell us about it. And I'll tell about myself. I'm Daniel. My background is statistics, probability, and math. And I've been working on the Clay tool, which is not a new tool, but nowadays we are using it in some new ways to create documentation for a few of our libraries. And we'll talk about the way it is used to create documentation, actually testable documentation, and also the way we use it for data analysis and so on. And we'll also talk briefly about Kindly, which is this standard we have been discussing a lot in this group, the standard for data visualization. And Kindly is growing these days and getting a few different tools which are starting to support it more, and we'll discuss it later. And we also have today Ovi, who will speak later this month on another topic. So maybe, Ovi, if you like, you could say something about yourself and about the topic of your meeting later this month.
Yeah, hi. So I'm Ovi. I've been doing Clojure programming for about 4 years now. Doing aside from that, a lot of AI projects and mostly focused on real-time AI, like voice AI, and how do you bring multimodality to a real-time conversation with AIs. And later this month, we're gonna start back the Cycloge AI meetings, and the one of the first topics will be Voice FN, which is a Clojure library I'm building to create real-time AI pipelines, whether through telephones, video, WebRTC, and things like that. And hopefully this is the first topic from many topics in the LLM world. For example, the model context protocol, AI enhanced workflows in IDEs and whatever programmers use. And yeah, discussing possibly what models to use for what situation, and also covering the LLM, Clojure ecosystem libraries to use to develop agents like Bosket, Ragtag, the OpenAI Clojure, and many more of that. So yeah, that's about it.
Yeah,
Hope to see you guys there.
yeah, so that is one thing you're going to talk about later this month. And then there is another one, which is about Emacs and all that.
Yeah,
Would you like to
indeed.
say something about
I
that?
was confused. I didn't know exactly which one you were referring to, so I started with that one. But also later on, I think in the next visual tools presentation, I will be presenting my Emacs AI enhanced workflow and how I use a lot of Emacs, a lot of AI tools, and how those integrate quite nicely with Emacs. So that will be the next visual tools meeting 30, I think, number 30, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah, and everybody is invited to follow the Clojure calendar feed, which is where we can see all these public events and others. Great. So we can now begin with Juan's presentation. And Juan, you can begin whenever you like.
Okay, I was muted. Okay, let me try to share my screen here. I'll share this desktop. Okay, can people see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, nice. You should be seeing like an Emacs screen. And yeah, so I have my cheat sheet here, and this is kind of the agenda. So before starting, because there is one part we can maybe skip, maybe not here. Like I don't know how many people is familiar already with FlowStorm, like what it is about, or the basics of it. And or if you want me to go a little bit over it, or we just skip into like workflows with it. So I don't know.
I think it would be good to say something basic about what it is,
Okay.
just for making it self-contained, if you like.
Okay, nice. So first, what is it? So it's a tool, it's a graphical tool for recording and visualizing systems, executions, and data. So the data part it's going to be more like a portal, and that kind of tool. But it's the main part. It's about trying to visualize executions, and all this with interactive programming in mind. So it's and also with development time in mind. So it's not about like putting this onto production or something to record whatever is happening to production so you can fix your issues faster or whatnot. It's a REPL companion. So it's something that you use while you are developing, and you want to understand from a very simple function to an entire system, and also data. Okay. How can it help you? It can help you with debugging, because when you're troubleshooting something, you need to try to understand what's going on from the data or execution perspective. It can help you understand like simple functions. You're looking at a function and you want to understand the mechanics there, or how it's working, to entire system from a runtime perspective. As we are going to see in a little bit, it can help you with interactive and iterative development. So it can help you like capturing values, so you can work within about that REPLs, things like you do with Snitch or scope capture, or that kind of tool, if you know about it. It has some tools for visualizing data, nested data, complex data, and also real-time changing data. And it can also help you enhancing like static code reading. Since Clojure is dynamically typed, sometimes you are like trying to understand a system by reading the code, but it's hard to know the shape of the values you are looking at there if you don't have specs. Even if you have specs, sometimes it's not that easy. So it can be a companion to static code reading whatever. For a very small demo, I have I think I have here, like in the playground, like, I don't know. It's a tool that you start by just whenever you need by typing the DBG keyword, and you get the after you have configured it. We are gonna go over many ways of configuring it depending on what you want to accomplish. But the basic idea of the tool is, maybe I will make the font a little bigger here. I hope the font is okay. And so the idea is that you normally work at the REPL. There's anything. So wait, what am I? Oh, I think I modified this example. Let me see if I can. This it's not. Oh, maybe we can even use it here. Is this okay? So here I have no idea, to be honest. So what is happening here? I'm seeing like, well, wrong number of arcs to filter B. That we can change from, this is filter B having a function here, and a collection of here. The collection is missing. Okay, yeah. Anyway. I wasn't supposed to be demoing any of that, but that was like a simple syntax thing. But let's say,
for a moment.
yeah.
Yeah, so some people in the audience say, yeah, maybe it can be good to zoom in if you can a little bit, so we'll have a bigger font.
Like this font?
I think both would be good,
Okay.
if that is not a trouble. Yeah.
Like that?
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Okay, so yeah, so let me put this on dark mode also, so everything is dark. So yeah, normally, let's say we are working with this function, quicksort or whatever, and we run it from the REPL, but we would like to understand it or maybe debug it or something like that. What we do is we just click the record button, we run it again, and it's gonna capture everything that has happened. So now we can, even if we want to stop recording, or we have a recording of everything that happened while this function execute to produce this result. So we can, from single stepping like this, so we are going to go over, let me make this bigger. We can single step back, or we can click around, for example. Let me show you like this. So if I click on pivot, here it's gonna be pivot 3, or I can click the return of this filter, which is 202, or this collection value, and or click here to see what like the quick sort of this subpart returned. We have many ways of looking at this. We can like single step and a bunch of ways of stepping forward and backward. We have like a tree view for trying to understand from a more hierarchical point of view what is going on. So we can see like this function has been, like the less than predicate function has been called a bunch of times, and then quicksort has been called recursively. And if you click on any of these, you will see like the arguments and the return value for that particular thing. You can keep digging into this, and you can, when you go reach that point in time, you're interested in, I don't know, how quicksort executes when the values are 0 here. So you can double click there, and that will take you to that point in time. So now we can single step here, move around. There are other ways of looking at executions, like the basics one, which is to look at all the functions that has been called and how many times they have been called. And also, if you click on any of them, you can see all the call with their arguments and return values. And if you're interested in, I don't know, whenever the quicksort function was called with 898, you can double click there. And now we are in that position in time, so we can like check the things and single step it and try to figure out what's going on. Here we also have, like, for our point in time, all the locals currently defined. So pivot is 8 and collection is 9 and 8. We can also take things back to the REPL. So for example, I don't know, let's say we are interested in working with this collection for whatever reason, we can define it and say, I don't know, I will call it C. This by default is gonna be, it's gonna go to user C. So now we can like bring values back to the REPL and play with them, or use it for whatever. Or we can, for example, in this point in time, if we are interested in capturing all the bindings, let's say we are, I don't know, in this point in time here, and we want to capture, because we want to work at the REPL, we want to capture all these values here, something like people use like scope capture or snitch or something to, so you can play at the REPL. You can come here and say, okay, define all them for me. And after I made that, let's hide this for a little bit, get rid of that. And now you have it here. So all these values will have, all these bindings will have a value. So it's very easy to use it while you are developing, because yeah, now you have values there to try your sub expressions and stuff like that. And yeah, so let me see if yeah, that's the basics of it, the very basics. So you basically record something, and then you have many ways of going over the execution. If the data here is not like super complex, but here we have like ways of looking at the data or digging into data and looking data in different formats. So yeah, this is not a good example for data because it's just collections of numbers. But yeah, does anybody have any questions, or we can move into like workflows stuff?
Oh, so there is a little bit in the chat. So Tamas is asking, what are the names of those various views which are selected with the icons at the bottom left?
Okay, so this is like the stepping view. So it's called the code tool. If you look at the tooltip there, it's code tool. It allows you to step over things. Then we have like the call tree tool, which is a tree or it's a call tree, an expandable call tree of all the functions that are. This is a recursive function, so we see quicksort again and again as we dig into it. And this is called the functions list tool, which lists all the functions, and for each function you can see all the calls and return values, and all that you can use all the tool to navigate between them. Like from here, if you double click here, you're going to be exactly like in the execution of this anonymous function, for example.
Yeah, thanks. That's very helpful. And also, which namespace are those values captured in? Tamas is asking.
Okay, so if I define a value using this def value, for example, this 0 here, or the pivot, which is 3, it's going to be on whatever name I put it here, and if I don't put any name, it's gonna be on user. So if I put B here, this is gonna end up on user B. Okay, but when we do the define all frame vals here, it's gonna be on the namespace this is currently in. So this is the quicksort function is on the Clojure demo, on the playground Clojure demo. So it's gonna it's always gonna put it on the current function namespace, so you can quickly play here without having to namespace anything.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, and Mike is asking how to connect FlowStorm to the REPL, if you wish to talk about it now, Juan.
Yeah, sure. So that's the next part about like the workflows part. Because with this, I just wanted to give like a simple demo of what it is about and how you are supposed to use it after you have it configured. And also the way I use it is like once I started, I send it to the I send it to the background, and then I have a key, a hotkey here on my Windows Manager to bring it wherever I need it. But you can like also close it and then type the DBG keyword, whatever you need it. Okay. The difference with this is starting the UI again. So it's gonna, depending on how you have it configured, for example, yeah, you will have to change the theme and stuff like that. So I always leave it on the background. I don't do that. I don't close it. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the next part, it's about workflow. So, and the first part on the workflows is at the setup and basics. So I do different things for different projects or things I'm working with. So for my projects, I normally do like a one-time global setup, so I don't need to do anything on my project in particular. So if I start a new project, I don't have to do anything. What I do, it's I'll have, let me open here my Clojure debugging. This can be done with a laning profile also, but these days I use debugging. So I'll show like this. So what I do is I create one alias called, in this case, like 112 storm, which contains like the basic configuration. And there is a user guide covering all this stuff, but this is what I do. So I have like an alias that will start with auto prefixes true, which means try to figure out from my project what is interesting to instrument, so it can be recorded. After you have this global thing, then it's a matter of just what is this? It's a matter of just starting up with that alias. Okay, so you can, in whatever project you are working, I'm starting a CLJ REPL without even a project here, and yeah, you will have the debugger there and everything you have seen here. I'll kill this so we don't waste time on this. But so I can show you here, for example, I have a to-dos app, which is a web application. I will increase the font when I show something in particular. But what I want to show here, this is a basic web application I will use as a demo. But what I want you to see here is there is nothing on the debugging thing for related to even FlowStorm. So you can put it like a global tool, and whenever you want to check in, you can do, or this is called check-in in Emacs, but you can just be sure to add the alias there. What I do in Emacs, it's in Emacs you can configure per project what aliases to use, so you don't need to remember to add all the aliases, and you do that with in Emacs here with their locals, and I don't know if you can see it there, but so I have like if I want to configure my this is something I always copy from project to project, which is what aliases I want to start that project with and what middlewares. This is not related, I mean, to FlowStorm, but it's a nice way to always include. I always include like FlowStorm on my projects and some more dev tools and some dev aliases where I configure stuff like how it shows on Visual VM and stuff like that. So yeah, the thing is for answering that, what I need to do now to for this web application here, I'm about to check in. Just need to make sure that that alias is. Let's do it. So I'm jagging in here. This is a little bit slow because I'm working in a 2013 laptop, and and yeah, and now I'm streaming and everything. But it's normally without streaming it's fast. Okay, there we have it. And so if we come here and now we can like start working or just start the debugging, and we didn't need to do anything in particular. And as you're going to see, after it starts the first time, it's going to load everything lazily. So it's going to take a little bit more, but after it's going to be fast. And if you look at here, what is currently instrumented, like all the FlowStorm infrastructure already detected, like that's gonna instrument everything under to do. So to do main, to do core, to do DB core, whatever. So it's gonna be ready for recording everything inside our project. By default, it's not going to record anything inside like next JDBC or stuff like that. We need to manually tell it, but that's another part. So yeah, okay. I hope that answered your question. There is also one more thing here on this local that it's I'm adding a middleware here. It's a FlowStorm and REPL middleware. If you are using a REPL and this is completely optional, it's only going to enable some features related to this. So let's let me bring the UI. There is a tool now on here that allows you to, for example, handle, I don't know if you're like whatever you are evaluating, if you have the middleware. This is the first time I'm running this on the namespace, so it's going to take a little bit. Okay, so as I run stuff on my REPL, I will have access to like all the previous values, and if something gets printed somewhere, I'm going to have access to the print lines and stuff like that. This is, so it's kind of, I use this sometimes instead of like this REPL for reading things, because even if here you have like all these like variables and everything, I find it here, it's not only faster, but I also have like a lot of ways of looking at values and stuff like that. But if you don't have the middleware, you are going to be able to use everything I have shown, but this part, which needs the middleware in order to capture everything you are doing at the REPL. Okay, so that's optional. Okay, let's get rid of that. And yeah, so what I do, again, just going over this, I set up like our global alias, and then I optionally add the middleware. And on Emacs, I do it with the locals or play with the Cider, Shakin, and REPL middlewares. But there are other ways of doing, depending on if you're using Shadow, CLJS, Lane, or whatever. There are ways of doing like global things. And yeah. So is that okay? Any questions there? I'm not seeing the chat.
Yeah, there are a few, and I can read them, and then you can think.
Okay. Oh,
like,
no.
Yeah.
Okay, I will put the chat here, but go ahead if you want. So
Yeah, great. So
okay.
one question was about, Tomas was asking, I would have been interested in how long it takes to boot up and what are the specs of the machine. I know you did comment about it a little bit, but maybe you wish to say more. Also, is it possible to compile FlowStorm, and how much would it speed up its boot? And
Yeah, so if you mean ahead of time compiling it, it's currently ahead of time compiling everything that makes sense. So that's that. So it's already done. But the thing is, in my experience these days, I tend to like, I don't know, stay with a REPL for even days or maybe like an entire week or something like that. So for me, it's not about like REPL startup, because I started once and then start the debugger, send it to the background or whatever, and I really forget about it. So it's not something that I'm constantly dealing with those small times. you saw there. And those times are in part because my machine is pretty old, and in part because I'm streaming. But in my experience, it doesn't, I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter. So
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and then there is another question about where you put your aliases, like the dev alias. Should it be global or should it be project specific? What would you prefer?
So yeah, so I have since the background, I have some global aliases, and then some for example, I have dev2 aliases, a general one that's going to include like profilers and memory meters and CLG reload and stuff like that. Then I have these are the two I use the most. This one and this one to start so to load everything with FlowStorm, and then to have like these other dev tools. And then per project, what I do per project, if you look, for example, here, is to have a dev aliases, which the only thing I do here normally is to add a name for Visual VM. So I always have Visual VM running. I don't think Visual VM has anything to increase the font size, sorry. But so I can see here like playgrounds and to-dos app, and I see the names, and I don't see like some like Clojure something. So those are so some aliases I put locally on the project, and then some aliases I put global.
Yeah, thank you. That makes sense. Yeah, there are more questions. Would you like to have them now or maybe keep them for later? We have lots of time, whichever you prefer.
Yeah. So maybe we can like I don't know. You can decide for some questions, and we can leave some for the end, so we can.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think it is okay to leave all these questions. So it would be good.
Yeah, because some of them maybe are answered later on the on the workflow thing.
Thanks.
Okay, so let me get rid of this, increase the font size here. So on my project, I do that. Now on the understanding my project libraries, like Hiccup. So let's do a little bit of a demo here. So on this to-do app, let me compile the entire namespace. Let me bring the UI here. Yeah, so this is like an very small application with a database and rendering some stuff with Hiccup and like very basic. So let's start the server, and here we can go to localhost, and we should be seeing this. So it's a to-do app. You can mark us down, add new to-dos, and stuff like that. So normally, if you see, if I record something, I hit record here because I'm interested in what's going on here, and then I just, I don't know, reload the page. So things are going to be recorded. If I let me make this bigger. If I go to the function list, you are going to see like everything is just like in to-dos application. There is nothing related to let's say like Hiccup or Next.js. So the next part is, what if I want to understand the libraries I'm using? What I normally do, it depends. So if I do different things, if it's a one-time thing, I just want to look at this time because I'm curious about something. Or if it's a repetitive thing, like I always, every time I start my REPL or whatever, I always want to look inside Hiccup or inside Next.js. Okay, so what I do if it's an only one thing, let me stop the server there because I'm going to reload. It's you can come here to the browser and say you want to instrument Hiccup whatever. Okay, it's going to ask me if I want to reload or Hiccup namespace, because we need to recompile them and so they are instrumented. I want to say yes to this, so it's gonna like reload those, and now let's do the same thing. Let's start the server, and now when we hit record and we do something here, if you look at the function list, now we have recording a lot of stuff, not only like to-do stuff as before, but a lot of like Hiccup, everything that Hiccup has done. So we have all the tools to, for example, if we go to the, I know there is a render render main page function here, and where Hiccup renders something, but we can go into the, for example, the Hiccup HTML. So when we are stepping, let me step back here. We will be stepping inside. I'm stepping back. Maybe let's do like this, which is better. I don't know. HTML. So there should be a Hiccup render HTML or whatever, and we can look inside that and single step inside it and go into it, or even from the tree we are going to see like our stuff, but also our calls to Hiccup, for example. Yeah. And so that I do when I want to like just take a look into Hiccup or something together with my with the flow of my system. But if I want to like the thing with this is if I restart the REPL and then the next time I start, I need to come here to the browser and add like Hiccup, JDBC Next, and whatever libraries I'm using if I'm interested in looking inside it. So there is a better way. If it's for doing this many times, what I do is if it's a repetitive thing, I will add an to my dev alias on the particular project. I will add like on like Hiccup, Next, JDBC, and stuff like that. So every time if I add, if I start with the dev alias, all this stuff is going to be added to like the instrumentation string there, and I don't need to constantly go and add it myself. Okay, so for looking into this stuff, it's gonna depend, at least for me. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Okay, so I am looking at some questions there that are very interesting, but I think we can cover them after.
Yeah.
Then I have another workflow which is like playing with random libraries that has nothing to do with my project. This is normally happening with I don't know, I'm reading some Slack or Reddit or whatever, or someone published something and I want to try it, and I want to like try it on the REPL, but also look inside it. What I have is I have always a playground project with a lot of files, and now that we have, because this is with Clojure 110, 112, we now have the add lib, so we can add libraries on the fly. So I always have a REPL running with my playground. So I create a file here. Let's say I want to, I don't know, I want to play a little bit with data codec or something, like some base 64 encoding. So let me start this there for this project, because the other debugger was for the other project. So I will I will add the library. I will come here on the playground thing and say, okay, I'm interested in all Clojure data codec, whatever. Okay. I will not reload anything because I haven't even required it yet. So now if I require it, did I run maybe I never run this. add lib thing. That should download and add the library. Okay. Now I will require it. And now I will run it as some base64 encoding or whatever. It's encoded in base64. But now I'm interested in what's going on inside it. So I can hit record here and run the thing. And now we can like use all the tools, single step on the thing, look at all the stuff that is, maybe this is a little bit more interesting here. All the stuff that this library is doing, looking at loops and stuff like that with all the FlowStorm tooling. So all that without even like restarting or even starting a REPL. So it's the playground REPL running there. I add libs. Yeah, and we can look inside them without even like starting a REPL. I hope that makes sense. Okay. What else? So yeah, this is what I do for playing with random libraries. And then for like working, fixing, contributing with random libraries I want to work, what I do is I clone the project and then just start them as my project with the Storm tag. So if I want to work on Clay or whatever, we're going to see an example. I will clone Clay and I will start Clay with the 112 Storm alias, and that's it. Okay. So these are the basics for setups. Yeah. Okay, so now my idea is to jump into like some general some workflows I do for like my general apps or some web apps in particular. We can go from there. Yeah, so what I do as my workflow, let's use the To-Dos app as a demo. These two steps I already shown. What I do is, if we jump into the To-Dos app, what I always do is I'll have the FlowStorm there in the background. I always clear the recording. You can click hit some keystroke or click here on the trash can. So I always clear the recording before doing something. I always have the thing not recording, because if we constantly recording, you are going to like your heap is going to grow and grow and grow and grow, and you need to keep an eye on the heap because eventually you are going to run out of heap. And what I do, it's yeah, just before doing something, I will come here, hit record, do the action I need to do, and then work with it. Sometimes I want to clear the recordings, and sometimes, let's say I want to compare, for example, two different recordings. I can record like these flows are like tracks, like different tracks. So you can record everything under like this page reload I did. We can record it under flow 0. And now I can move it to, I don't know, flow 1, and then record something under flow 1. And now I can go and compare, like, because these are two different recordings or two different runs of the thing. And then you can, I don't know, use all the tools to go and compare, like, okay, this happened on this function the first time I ran it, by the second time I ran it, this function was called with something else or whatever. This is pretty handy. But most of the time I just use one flow and everything. Stop it there. What else? Well, I already mentioned this, but I always have like visual VMs open, so I can quickly explore my virtual machines. So I have it there by name, so I quickly can go and monitor the heap, monitor the threads, quickly do a thread dump to see what is on every thread in case I have a deadlock or something I'm trying to figure out. So that's another like general, this doesn't have to do with FlowStorm, but well, it's a workflow thing. I always have this running, and for having this running always, this JVM option is pretty interesting because it lets you put the name you want to appear here, because if not, you're just going to read like Clojure or stuff like that. And if you have multiple repls running, then you don't know which is which. Okay. Hope that made sense. Let's get rid of Visual Beam for now. Yeah, then for my web app workflows, I have some stuff that I found useful with FlowStorm and web apps in particular. Let's go to the to-do app. The first thing is to if people is familiar with web application development in Clojure, you normally start your server with some handler, you wrap some middlewares on top of it, some ring middlewares. What I do in dev, I do exactly the same. But I wrap my handler in a function, and that is so I have like for recording. This is pretty handy because this function will be called after just before the handler and after all the middlewares, after the request has traversed all the middlewares. And this is interesting because if we are here, for example, let's do something more interesting, like mark this as done or something like that. Okay, and now we have like the request just before entering the handler, but after traversing all the middleware. So we already can see like the form params extracted there from the body or the all that stuff. So I find that super handy. And what else? Yeah, so another thing I find handy is like now we have a request here. What I do is I always define it like under user R or whatever. And this is so now I have access to the request here. Get rid of that. I have access to the, oh, sorry, I defined it something else. Okay, yeah. This, I want to define the entire request, call it R. Okay. And now we have the entire request here. And this is pretty handy because now instead of going to the browser to repeat the thing, and sometimes it takes multiple steps or whatever, I can just call the handler with the request I have captured, and I don't even need to go to the browser or stuff like that, because handler is just a function, and this is the request after all the middleware, so I should be able to give it to the handler and yeah, look at the side effects or look at the HTML here or whatever. Another thing I do, it's when I into like web applications that I don't remember quite a lot, or I'm new to that application. What I do is to, for example, let's say I want to understand, I'm seeing something here like that there is some buy milk or something, and sometimes I want to see, well, where this is coming from. I mean, where this is being extracted from the database, where is this being rendered as HTML or something like that. So what I do is just go record whatever, here, record the page load or something, or whatever action I want to execute. And now I have a recording. I can use other tools like the search, and search allows us to do things like by milk here. And I'm going to search all my recordings for all all the expressions that somehow the string conversion of the expression contains by milk somewhere. This is sorted by time. And so what's happened is now with this font is going to be a little bit harder. But what's happened now is I can double click here. So this is not only a search, but I can double click here and I can see, okay, the first time this appears on the recording is on thread 120 and at index 8, and it's being extracted by the result of the JDBC query, select after from to-dos. So I found that, then you can click, can keep clicking. Well, when it's processing that to-do, it's also by milk is there. Maybe here it's probably when it's like generating the HTML for it. And so that's pretty handy to understand, to have it as a tool. Yeah, I was looking at the questions there. Maybe that I can answer right now the last one until that. What does index A mean? So when we record something, it's gonna say we recorded 3,000 expressions here in a timeline, and we are current at position 49 in time. And as we move through time, what we do is we move the index on the timeline, on the recorded timeline we have recorded. So this index is it's gonna be on the timeline. Yeah, I hope this makes sense. Yeah, I find it super handy to approach like applications I don't remember well or I don't know a lot about it, so I can search for things I can see on UIs or on databases and try to see how they relate to code. What else do we have here? Yeah, we can search and follow values. The other tool that I found super useful on recordings, it's the printers. So yeah, we can add, like, after we have a recording, without having to record anything again, we can add like print statements. So here I could add, for example, add to print handling or about to handle. And if I do just that, it will be like adding a print line on the entire request. But I don't want that. I want to like pre-process it. I only want the URI of the request. And you can add many like print lines. And after you have them added, you are going to find them here on the printer, and you can run the prints, all the prints you have defined, you can run them over your recordings, the things you already have recording. I will explain this pop-up after. So let me do it like maybe it makes more sense. Like this. So let me do one thing. Let me stop the server. Let's add here. So let's delete hiccup. We are not going to be interested in this. And let me also add next JDBC. Okay. So we also like record what's happening with the library database. And yeah, let's start the server thing and move to the web app. Yeah. There is also one more thing I don't know if I have time to explain, but there are two recording buttons here. This is to like a simple recording where if multi-threading is going on, each thread is gonna be recorded separately, so you can step and browse and what's happening on each of them, but there's no information is gonna be stored related to how they interleave, okay? And there are some functionalities that can do better things if you recorded the interleaving of them. So this time I will just click this, which will record like everything. Okay, so if I run this, we should see a lot of things like Next.jDBC related here also. But now we have recorded that. We can do things like, for example, I think we already have a printer for the URI. And now I will just jump because I know there is an execute, some JDBC execute function here that is gonna be called on each time that you give JDBC a query, it's gonna come here to execute all. And this first thing, it's the query, and the next one is the parameters. So normally what I do is if you add a print here, to print, for example, query, whatever, and here, let's add them, query params. Excuse me. Something going on with myself. Okay. And if I do that, then they have been added here on the printer. And now if I run the printers, we are going to see things here like handling the request for /, then we are selecting after from to-dos and with these query params. But now if I keep recording, okay, I can have a pretty interesting log because I will have like Clojure to do or something. And because I'm recording and adding more to the recording, okay? And if I update this here, now we are going to see, okay, we have handled an add to do, which run like insert into to-dos with these parameters, and then it's made a query again to select everything to send them back. But the interesting thing is this is not only a log, like a dead log. We can double click there and go exactly to that point in time with that, when that is happening, and we can take a look at the stack. Okay, this insert is happening as part of the add to do thing. Okay, let me jump back and let me see, okay, it's the part that is adding this specific to do to the database and stuff like that. So by doing, for example, printing the request handling and printing something like that executes on the database, we can have this, which is already pretty handy. So if we mark this as done, for example, now when we refresh, we run on the printing, and now we have here the call to markdown, which did an update with parameter 8 and all that stuff. And again, we can double click here and go to see, and then by looking at the stack or by clicking the up arrow, which is step up, we can see, okay, this is being called from execute, going up. This is being called from mark to do done. And now we can see like the database here or the to-do ID and stuff like that. I hope all that makes sense. But I find these printers super handy on that. What else?
Thinking about the time, we still have time. I think it would be nice to kind of think about converging in a few minutes to what you really find important, and then have some time for questions. Yeah, so no rush at all. Yeah, that's
okay.
amazing.
But thanks for letting me know, because I haven't been tracking time.
It is always amazing and so helpful. Yes, please take it.
Okay, so I tried, I knew we're gonna run out of time. So I tried to put this into like what I find like more useful or stuff like that. So yeah, but there is a lot. There is, I will show let's skip some stuff here, but I can show, for example, there is an interesting thing here, which is we can demo with the same app, which is how do I go from the editor to the debugger? This is let's say I'm here and I'm looking at this map. Okay, it's mapping something, and I'm interested in trying to see something here, like how this is behaving. So the way to do it is like, let's get rid of all recordings. The way to do it is you capture something like this. I don't want to resubmit that. Like this. And one option you have is to use what's called the quick box, because you can jump quickly to this render main page. So you can come here and do render main page, hit enter, and now you are in that function. So as soon as you start stepping next, you, step over here. Let's click it here, it's faster. So you can use the quick box to come very fast here and then click it here. But there is a new feature now, which is kind of if you have used the JS debugger, where you can just write a debugger statement here. And if you recompile the thing, what happens is that as soon as the debugger records something here, it's going to take you there immediately. So now if I record something, you're going to see we are immediately there. So we can very easily like step next, and now we are on the part we wanna be. Then we can remove this statement, compile it back. And then the other thing is the function list, because the function list is, if you know the function name, like render, you can search here and you're going to say, okay, render main page, take me there. That's another way. And the other thing is like going from recordings into the editor. So this is like, let's say we are looking at some next JDBC, prepare, create, whatever. We are debugging here. And we would like to, okay, take me to the editor because I want to see it here. You can like right click here and open in editor, and that should take us exactly there on Emacs. That's pretty handy because sometimes you are like, looking at the recording, but you want to like modify the function or something, so you need to open it on Emacs. It needs some configuration, so it knows how to open something on your editor, but there is that. And there are a trillion other things, but I guess we can wrap it there. Just so you know, the other things I was thinking of, like we can look at the headers of the thing. It's figuring out other people code bases like Clay, like something like what's my workflow for trying to, I don't know, I have this new application I've never worked with. I'm gonna join Daniel or whatever on Clay. And I want to start like creating a mental map of what is going on when you run whatever. Then there are workflows for real-time changing data, for working with threads interleaving when that's important to visualize how like the threads are interleaving. And then I already covered like the outputs panel, all this thing here where you can like see your evaluations and your prints and your tabs and stuff like that. Then it's workflows on profiling, and this is important because of instrumentation. There are very easy ways of telling like, don't instrument now because I want to profile, and you don't want to profile something that's already instrumented. There are stuff for working with possible infinite loops that FlowStorm can help you to break those loops so you can see what happens so far and stuff like that. So maybe other stuff there. But each of these, it's like a lot of things to cover. And So yeah,
That's beautiful.
maybe we go into questions or something.
Yeah. So we have more time. And yeah, maybe I'll talk for a moment just so that you can breathe for a moment, Juan, because that was amazing. So many things to learn from. And what we see in the chat is many questions and many thankful, really, really thankful comments. And a few people, or at least one, already asking for another time, where you can continue. And of course, Juan, anytime you would like to join these meetings and tell more, it would be lovely. And
Sure.
yeah, so we have 20 minutes to the moment where some people will need to leave. That's the official time. I think the presentation about Clay doesn't need to be today. Anyway, we'll have more of these meetings, and I'll be there and we'll talk about Clay more. So let us focus in these 20 minutes about FlowStorm. And maybe, Juan, you will decide whether you wish to dive into a few of the other items there or look into a few of the questions, because there are so many. And maybe before you continue, let us see if anybody wishes to use their voice, and say something, any comment, any thought about anything to enlighten us before we continue.
I'll say something. I'm new to programming and I've used FlowStorm a lot. In my first year at my first programming job, it sort of really kept me afloat to be able to view and navigate the code base and sort of understand things and just keep me sane. So I just wanted to say thank you and nice work.
Thank you, Reese. Thanks for the nice comment.
Thank you so much. Tofi, I think you also wanted to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is an awesome tool, and I haven't tried it yet, but I was looking at it, and I can see it would replace. It would make many things in my workflow not necessary because it encompasses a lot of the things you would need day to day. And I definitely hope you do a part two with more advanced stuff, and especially with real-time changes and threads and stuff. I'm especially interested if you ever used it in a core async context. So thank you. It was a great presentation.
Okay, thanks for the nice comment. Yeah. So if for that question, if I have used it in the core async, there's no problem with core async. There is a problem with the core async Go macro. And this is because the Go macro will, as it is implemented now, it's going to rewrite a lot of code, but also because there's no problem with macros themselves, it's work fine. But the Go core async macro, as part of the machinery that rewrites the code you put inside the Go block, it's losing a lot of metadata. So it just discards metadata, and which FlowStorm needs. Fortunately, now that the virtual threads are the thing on the JVM, we don't have like I mean, we don't need Go blocks as we did a lot as we did before, unless you are like targeting Clojure script and all that stuff. Yeah. I don't know, but I haven't mentioned, but all this stuff also is supported on Clojure script. So it's not just a JVM Clojure thing. You can do Clojure script with it also.
Yeah. What do you think, Juan? Would you like to think about a few of these questions, or actually just keep going with your topics?
I don't know if you want to maybe read some of them, so they are also recorded. And
yeah, so yeah, going back a few more.
There is, I think I found one. They're all interesting, but now for the thing like, can you full text search on last evals here? No, right now, but that's pretty easy to add. That's probably a good idea. There is is there maybe a view of complete data structure in FlowStorm? Imagine have a big nested map. Yeah, there is. You can we can look at them right here. I mean, like a request is it's a nested map, and we can dig into it by going there, and then if there is like any other, I don't know, dig into the string, and the string has these characters, and we can dig into the character, and we can, yeah, and then we can go back and back, and yeah, there is like nested data structure exploration tools. Then there is a question on what does class path override Clojure nil do? This is super interesting. It's referring to this. So as part of the configuration of FlowStorm, you have this thing, okay? And the thing is, in order for FlowStorm to be able to record everything without you doing anything there, like FlowStorm inside uses what is called Clojure Storm, which is a fork of the Clojure compiler, which adds recording capabilities. So it is in this. So this, what this does, it's like basically it's a way of saying, let's not use the or Clojure slash Clojure compiler. Let's use this one, basically. Okay, because this is only for dev, there is no risk of anything, and because when you run your test or everything, or the introduction, you of course are going to run with the official Clojure compiler, and it's just adding some recording steps. So it's I haven't seen it breaking anything, so that should be pretty safe. But that is what it does. Yeah, if I can provide my notes, yeah, sure, I can. Like support Clojure script, like creation application debugging. Yeah, I have used it. That's one of its uses. Prints are important. Okay, that question about like printing, it's maybe it's already answered. I don't know, but if we go to the
let us maybe read the question. So
okay, sorry. Okay, there is a question there on, can you clarify again how you say prints are important? It related to in relation to some code I put it here. So yeah, so prints are a way of adding print statements after you have recorded something, and it's basically that. And because you can add as many as you want, then you run the prints without having to rerun your code. And the thing is, like I will run here, it's gonna print the stuff there. And there is a transform function, maybe you are referring to this. If I don't, because I added a print on a request, if I don't do this, I will be printing just the request map. And this is kind of noisy, so you can add like a transformation, so you can yeah, we probably only want to print the URI in this case. Yeah. This stuff here that I'm just clicking and removing this warning. It's just warning you that because you haven't recorded thread interleaving, things are going to be recorded in order here per thread, but not between threads. Yeah, and this is because we are like printing over all the threads. If we print over just one thread, we don't get that because there's no problem of interleaving anything. Yeah. Is there a chance that the instrumentation capability will be added to the official Clojure compiler? So no need to, I don't think so. Because yeah, I mean, the core team is like super picky about what they add, and I don't think it's super hard for them to add like which I think is it's a nice property of Clojure compiler to add like even like small features, or I don't think they want to add something like this. But if I'm honest, I mean, it would be nice to have some hooks on the Clojure compiler so we can do this stuff on, without having to swap compiler for sure. I missed anything, or someone wants to? But also, it's not possible to toggle at runtime whether the Clojure compiler is implementing or not, right? Yeah, it is possible.
Could you repeat that more slowly?
Sorry. So Thomas is saying, but also it's not possible to toggle at runtime whether the Clojure compiler is instrumenting or not. And yes, it is possible. So one way of looking at that, if you want, we can go to the playground here, and here, for example, if let's say I disassemble this function, this is a sum function, you are going to see it is instrumented. So as part of the bytecode, you don't need to understand this, but as part of the bytecode, you are going to see like a lot of calls to tracing. Okay, but if I can tell by say like no inst, I can tell like the storm system like don't instrument anymore. So if I now recompile the function, if we look at the function disassembly, it's going to be much smaller with no mentions of anything tracking, just a call to numbers add and stuff like that. We can decompile it in Java if you want, but yes, it is possible to. And this was part of me, like I wanted to show this on the profiling and the performance part, because this is important. If you're measuring performance, you don't want to measure like an instrumented thing, because it's going to be wrong. Nice chance. So why wouldn't one wants to deploy the storm Clojure in production? Yeah, the problem there is, like, as you have seen, we are constantly here, like we have an eye on the heap, and because we are at dev time, we control the recordings by like recording some specific things and then getting rid of that recording. But if you keep constantly recording something, you are very quickly run out of heap, because recording is basically retaining the pointers so the garbage collection doesn't collect them. So yeah, I have like tried a bunch of things for production, but it's hard to even like do a ring buffer or something, and because of reasons. But yeah, I don't want to go super deep into that, but it's not easy. At least I have found that to do it in production.
Juan, let us maybe stop for a moment and think. We have 8 minutes to the official time, and maybe you and others will like to stay longer afterwards, but maybe you would like to kind of say some concluding words, something about your hopes for the future, about how people may be able to help you with this project, or any other thing you wish to share kind of as a conclusion to this part, and then we can yeah.
Okay, so other things I can share here. So first, I'm gonna be talking at the Clojurians meetup late this month, and the talk is gonna be "Don't Fear the Storm," and it's about like going into how this works inside, how all this stuff works inside. So and I think that is if people want to like understand the project and contribute with the project, there I can say there is not a lot of like, it's pretty simple in the inside. It's not like super magical and super hacky. At least that is what I think. In the sense that it's not that the code is perfect in any way, but we are not doing like to record all this stuff. We are not doing like crazy things. It's just about retaining pointers so the garbage collection doesn't take them and into timelines and stuff like that. But then there is, for example, I don't have a link in this thing. So the user guide contain in the end, at the end, some well, there are a bunch of other things I didn't mention, like the FlowStorm contains a tutorial inside. So if you go here from help tutorial, it will add a tutorial that you can follow here to learn about a bunch of the basics. There's also a link to the user guide here that you can also open inside. Why this is taking forever? Inside FlowStorm. With the index and everything here. But if you go to the user's guide here at the bottom, you have like dev notes that it's an attempt to describe a lot of things, how they work internally. There are a lot of like like 3 user diagrams that are gonna be, it's for dark mode. Dang. But this looks much better in dark mode. That is going to show how everything relates and stuff like that. Yeah, I'll be talking about all this stuff and how ClojureStorm works inside, instrumentation, all that stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's super useful to be able to look inside execution of a system and not only like as black boxes. And there is also something I want to comment that I added here, and maybe it's interesting for this particular. Where are my notes? Which is other maybe interesting stuff. It's that everything that is recorded, it's accessible from the repo, so you can write programs and that go over those recordings. And because those recordings are data, I mean, and this is a group that knows a lot about like data and how to visualize data in different ways. You can also, I think it's interesting to look at data analysis over execution. So for example, something like you go into a code base, you run the tests, you record everything, which should like record everything that is happening in the system, and then run some data analysis. I have done something like that in the past, for example, trying to understand, like, this is a run of the Clojure compiler, and then like created a graph from the recording, and then some communities, algorithms over the graph, just to try to see some interesting aspects of some code base running. I have done that also for the compiler. This is like a draw of the Clojure script compiler compiling some very basic stuff and whatever. And I was interested in stuff like what we can get from analyzing this data, because yeah, recordings are data and are accessible there. So that's another thing. That's maybe interesting for this group.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. An idea for a future session.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lovely. So we're now around the official end, and I will stop the recording whenever you tell me to stop, Juan. So as long as you wish to say more, yeah, great. So in a moment, we'll say goodbye to the recording, and then some people may like to stay longer and then chat more about anything related or unrelated. And maybe we'll just say that another meeting will take place on January 23, and that will be about mostly Emacs and the way LLMs can be used from within Emacs with Ovi and Adham and Mike and also a few other Emacs ideas around workflow in Emacs. And more of these meetings are coming soon. And Juan, whenever you would like to tell anything more, you're invited, and we can always schedule another one. And that was incredibly helpful. Really, thank you so much for this.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry to take in like your slot of the.
Oh,
I just
that was perfect.
wasn't tracking the time and. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we were kind of aware that it might happen because we knew FlowStorm would be so amazing. And yeah, we will have another session about Clay. And if anybody is interested in Clay, we can always chat anyway. Great. So we will now say goodbye to the recording and see you on the next time.